This the War Report coming live every Tuesday at 7 with Steve, Cat, Ryan, Amanda, and Eric. And the voice of NEW, Vince Berry. Hitting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT? Handing out SmackDowns, follow on IG. Plus, it's sponsored by Tag Me a Date. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here. No safe space. Now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the War Report After Dark.
Whose house?
Swerve's fucking house. He is the Ron Simmons of AEW, ladies and gentlemen. Your first African-American World Heavyweight Champion for AEW.
Wonderful.
Which is awesome. And then you got Trick Williams on the NXT side. So I love it. But Swerve Strickland has done it, folks. Not only has he become your world champion, but one of the biggest baby faces in the fucking company.
He was breaking into Hangman Page's house and talking to the baby.
Yeah, he was.
In a promo. Like, he went to Nick Wayne's, like, dad's garage and beat Nick Wayne up and bloodied him, and now he's the biggest baby face in the world. Wrestling is funny sometimes.
It's great. So, before we really dive in and get into it, oh boy, we're getting
we got bombarded.
We've gotten 4 already. And Vince, I'm gonna pull them up and I'm gonna let you.
That's fine. We can do this.
You ready?
Let's see what we got.
The first comment from David Roska, our good friend over at YouTube.
How's it going, David? Hope you're well. All right, David says Trish Stratus was 7 months in July 18, 1976, when Nadia Comaneci hit the first perfect tens in the women's gymnastics. She was not 8 months old. She was 7 months old. If you're a numerology person, there's probably something significant there. I'm not sure if they're, like, for me, I don't know. But her only being, I don't know what the relation is, but we'll figure this out. December 18th, 75 through July 18th, 76, Trish Stratus was 7 months old. Nadia Comaneci hit 7 back-to-back first perfect 10 in Montreal. Oh, wow. Okay. He knows way more about the history of women's gymnastics. Like, I watch the Olympics. I consider myself a pretty worldly person when it comes to sports. David is such a deep diver on this thing. I'm actually impressed. David's next one is actually wrestling related, which is kind of a shock. But
actually,
also
you know what? Don't even read it.
No, we'll get into this one. This one,
that
one will be there. Yeah, we'll bring that up when we talk about Gunther. Whose house is Ram's house? See, the Expos icon threw me off, and then the more we learn, he's a California guy. It makes sense.
Well, that has been our history lesson of this evening. Thank you, David Roska, our good friend over at YouTube. So, well, I guess we should get right into it. AEW Dynasty. And you know, listen, we don't do a lot of AEW on this show. And that's really not anything negative towards AEW. It's just WWE has just been absolutely on fire lately. And
right.
We were in WrestleMania season too.
It was WrestleMania.
Right. And, you know, you have, an hour, to kind of break down what you want to. And I'll say this. No matter how many times you think AEW is stepping backwards because of stupid things that they decide to do or certain things that they decide to air that, quite frankly, does not help your situation at all, although it kind of did in a way, but a small amount, I think. But they always bounce back when it comes to their quarterly big pay-per-view. Because the pay-per-views that they put on, the wrestling that they put on is fantastic. I mean, one match was better than the other. A lot of changes happened.
Yeah, there were a lot of title changes.
In case you missed it, Swerve Strickland is your AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Somebody that WWE let go, 3 years ago? 2 years ago?
And there was this whole thing. I mean, they had Hit Row that was a hit in NXT. Then they moved him to SmackDown and almost immediately got rid of Swerve. And then the whole group lost focus and lost, relevancy.
He was the heart and soul of the group. It died after that.
The group was built around Swerve. And then once they took him out, I mean, no knock on AJ Price, but I mean, you're going to build a whole faction around him. Like now he's in TNA, which is like probably a good thing for him if he wants to continue wrestling. He can like get some reps in there and maybe come back someday when he's improved. But like, you can't have. It was a group of secondary enhancement talent once Swerve left the group. That was the problem. There was no more star power. Swerve is from the second he came into AEW, even though he was working undercard stuff, he was a star. He was treated like a star. He presented himself as a star. He didn't present himself as a, someone who was lesser than, or, he didn't come out with the, like I like to call it, the lose face. He never came out with the lose face on. He was always out there 100%.
He started to really hit a home run with the addition of Prince Nana and the whole
dance,
the whole song
presentation of
it's like people always make comments about entrances and sometimes they put too much into them and this and that. The entrance, in my opinion, is just as important as the match and the story, because the music is what gets them pumped and ready to get out there and put on a show. I mean, look,
right.
A prime example would be Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. The intensity and how pumped she got during the entrance. You know what I mean?
Every Sandman entrance.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I also think for entrances, especially with the Titantrons back in the day, the way that they were, if somebody never watched wrestling before and you said, watch this guy come out, and it's Stone Cold Steve Austin, or it's The Rock, or it's Goldberg during the height of the Attitude Era, you're like, okay, I get this guy's character right away. The music, the Titantron, the way he walks, what he's wearing, the way he looks, we get it all. Like, and that's when you have Swerve come out. That's kind of what you get. You get this presentation of the song, the music video in the background, because they filmed like a legit music video. Nana's dancing. Sometimes he has actual dancers with him. The nice thing that happened.
And I'm sorry to jump on you, but even the presentation of his entrance last night as coming out as Black Panther,
right?
The whole night, I mean, it was just absolutely fucking great. And I love Prince Nana. That guy is fucking
old
gold
school
to me.
Ring of Honor guy.
I remember, I mean, I would have to scroll back and find pictures from my original iPhone that I took one night. And Prince Nana, when I was sitting front row at a Ring of Honor show in probably like 2006, jumped in the ring to like attack somebody and jumped over, like used my leg to like propel himself over the barricade. That was my first introduction to Prince Nana. He jumps over the barricade and uses my quad as a step stool to get over.
That's hilarious.
And didn't even, he didn't tell anybody beforehand. It was literally, he ran out from wherever he was hidden, ran through the crowd. I was just happened to be on the corner. He was just like, grabbed my shoulder, put his leg on my leg, and just jumped over the thing.
And Swerve, I've been with this guy for 10 years, man. Like,
he's really been amazing.
He was huge on the indies as Shane Strickland, right? But his character as Killshot on Lucha Underground and he put on amazing matches, like matches with AR Fox, for instance,
yes,
which have been done in AEW as well. And to see him grow in the business and like he's reached this level, this is fantastic.
It really is for him, man. And
it's a feel good story.
Sure. Yeah, and so I don't know if you know, they said it during the commentary, but I guess if you don't know, you don't know. The robe that Nana brought out was originally owned by the original crown jewel of the embassy, the original faction that Prince Nana had back in Ring of Honor, Jimmy Rave, who passed away a year or two ago. He had a real bad, he ended up getting like MRSA from a staph infection, and then he like lost an arm, and then he lost, I think he had like
both
legs and an arm, and I think he had just one arm left by the time he passed away, unfortunately. Kind of a consequence of working.
That's fucking horrible.
You know, you're working wrestling in dirty rooms his whole life, dirty mats, nobody's washing this stuff, you know. It was a tragic story. He was a very young guy. He left behind kids and stuff and a wife, and but once I saw I knew when I saw the robe, I'm like, that's is this what I think it is?
That's an awesome tribute.
I think it's completely deserved because like that, it all ties back. This is what I love about how AEW is presenting wrestling. This is a universe of things that happened. Like it isn't like because it didn't happen in WWE, it never happened. It didn't happen in AEW, it never happened. Prince Nana's whole story, the whole reason he's there with Swerve is because he started the Embassy with Jimmy Rave back in 2004. And this is a 20-year culmination of his career too. So like, yeah, I think it was a very fitting tribute to Jimmy Rave. Like I said, the original crown jewel of the Embassy. And now we've got a new crown jewel. As Swerve said, our world champion is black. That was the first thing he said at the press conference.
It's a big deal. I mean, you know, we still live in a world where it's a rarity, and it shouldn't be. But
no, I mean, but look at Willow. Willow won as well. She's a TBS champion.
Yep, Willow
won the title. She's going to go against Mercedes. So there's a lot of representation, even just within that feud as well.
I'm a huge Willow guy.
Listen, we already knew that. We knew that. I mean, listen, but she's but somebody also said I've heard a lot of
cute too. You know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Adorable. But then she wrestles full bore. You know, she's not dainty about it. You know what I mean? And I've seen a lot of comparisons online. People say she's like almost like a modern Dusty Rhodes because of like her build and her demeanor and the way that people kind of she's just herself out there. You know, and people kind of are drawn to her. Right. And she connects with people. And that's why people are comparing her to Dusty is like, she just has this quality about her that you want to like and you want to get behind her. And even now people are saying, should Mercedes even win? I mean, she's going to, but should Mercedes even win that match against Willow? Or should we ride out the Willow wave until it's done and then do a title change?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. It'll be nice to see Mercedes finally get in the ring because right now
she's apparently not medically cleared.
Well, but that's just it. Like, and part of this bothers me because in a way I'm like, okay, well, she wanted to debut in Boston, right? Because you want to get that hometown reaction, but plan to go back another day when she's cleared and ready, or at least when she's like a week or two already. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, this has been too long now where nothing's happened yet, and she's just coming out and everyone's chanting CEO, and right. it's to me, it's becoming one of the biggest botched debuts of a huge star that AEW has had. Quite honestly, you know, we'll have to see once she gets in the ring. But to me, it's taking way too fucking long. I think they blew their load way too early on this.
And they might have also assumed, like that's the other thing, they might have assumed that this happened. The Boston show was in March, and they might have thought by Dynasty, which was April 22nd, they're like, this is March 13th. It's April 20th. The pay-per-view is April 22nd. She's going to be good to go. That's like 6 weeks, right? And probably just didn't happen. So now it's pushed back to Forbidden Door. Is that what the next one is? I think it's Forbidden Door.
I think it is Forbidden Door.
And they've already set the table for that one too. Dude, this was such a good pay-per-view. I can't even like in all the ways that 2 nights of WrestleMania was just a drag in some spots. There was just, I don't think there was, you know, you had the trios match with Edge and Eddie Kingston and those guys that was, you know, against House of Black, and that was like whatever. But it was still a fun match that everybody was engaged.
It was a violent match,
right?
Which you expect. Watching Briscoe, I mean, I could watch Briscoe
all day,
and I could listen to him even longer.
Oh yeah, but it's great. So, but what I'm saying is, it's just such a. There was no Usos Civil War match that brought the whole room down. You know what I mean? Like that pay-per-view was just like from the minute they even the pre-show, you had new tag team champions or new trios champions, unified trios champions. Bullet Club Gold defeated the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass so they are now the AEW trios and the Ring of Honor 6-man. And as far as Tony said, the titles are unified. So I think they might get a unified set of belts eventually.
It's possible.
Because why do you need 2 6-man championships? Are kind of, then you have to have, it's so many people.
It is a lot
to maintain. So just have one set of them.
It's a mess, but you know it's fun to watch.
But I love trios,
every now and I do too. They're fun to watch. And then I mean, Jack Perry made his return.
That ladder match. I love that the fans chanted, "Please be careful," during that ladder match. Like,
they care. They really care.
I mean, dude, the whole thing is great. The Young Bucks roll up to the pay-per-view in a cyber truck.
Hey, sidebar. Tara's blowing up my phone.
Oh,
I don't look at my phone when I'm
during
on
the thing.
She's saying something like, "Send me a Facebook link." I don't know how to send.
I thought
it's live. I don't.
Yeah.
know. So,
I don't know. We'll see what we can do for her. We'll get her a link.
But yeah, so I mean, but that's just it, man. It's like one match was better than the other. Will Ospreay.
Oh my God! Can we got to talk about this for a second?
Is Daniel Bryant is he working or is he legit?
No, he said that was a work.
Okay, because he, but that's why he's so fucking good too. Because for a minute you're sitting there and you're like, the move looked fine, but the way you land in that move, it could and he sold the shit. What a match!
Well, and there were so many moments in that, like Ospreay's going for the Os Cutter, and Bryan hits the knee and just knocks him out of the air, and then they have the stare down where they're both in the corners, and then at one point, Ospreay tries a hidden blade, and Bryan ducks it, and then one time he tries it and he gets hit with a knee. And then right towards the end of the match, they have a showdown where they're in opposite turnbuckles, and Ospreay takes the shoulder pad off and tosses it, and then Bryan's doing the yes thing in the other corner, and they charge at each other, and they're both one's going for a knee and one's going for a forearm, and Ospreay finally hits it, and oh my God, that was a masterclass. Like that's a fucking wrestling match, man. There was no gimmicks. There was no chairs. There was no tables. Nobody was set on fire. We didn't have to do any weird, no count out, no whatever. It was a wrestling match that happened mostly between the ropes, and goddamn, dude, like that was.
And also, Will Ospreay's one of those talents that you want to see him in several different, like, I guess you could call dream matches with a lot of guys on the roster.
Oh yeah, he's instantly. I mean, you can put him against Okada, and it's going to be a good match. You can put him against Moxley; it'll be a good match. You put him against Bryan; it's going to be a good match. You put him. I mean, he wrestled.
Do you think they'll ever try to get like Zack Sabre Jr. or something?
I think so. He'll probably come around for Forbidden Door season. I would imagine he came around. I think he was around last year for Forbidden Door and London.
Because so like Ospreay, he's one of the biggest British talents out there.
Yeah, him and Ospreay, there was a time where it wasn't Ospreay, he wasn't the biggest one. It was Zack Sabre. People were saying Zack Sabre Jr. is the next guy up.
Yeah. Dave Abbey over at YouTube. The entire pay-per-view was awesome. Now they need to follow it up on Wednesday or they're going to keep losing viewers. Well, see, that's what Kai was kind of saying earlier, right? It's like the Dynamites, the Collisions, the Rampage, whatever, they are what they are. Sometimes they hit, sometimes they don't. But with AEW, where they always seem to hit are their big shows.
Right.
But now they got to figure out a way to follow up properly to hold on to those viewers and get some new ones.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Eric.
It reminds me of kind of like the glory days of TNA, where they may not follow through as well on the main on the shows or whatever, but they always hit it out of the park.
That's a great
pay-per-view match.
That's a great comparison. And you know what it is too? I think more so with AEW, I feel like everything is just too rushed. They tell stories, but they go too fast. Like they blow through them and then they don't follow up with them. Whereas WWE sometimes has 2, 3, 4 year storylines. Like this Bloodline storyline, I guarantee is going to go another 2 years now because of what they're about to do. And we'll get more into that as we touch on WWE. But that's just as an example. That's what they need to do.
The weird thing for me is like this past Wednesday, I watched Dynamite. That was a hell of a Dynamite. And it was like 793,000 viewers. And I'm like, this is one of the best Dynamites I've seen in a couple months. Not that they didn't have good episodes, but it stuck out to me as a banner episode of Dynamite in terms of like quality. It's the go home show before a pay-per-view. I just really enjoyed it. And then you read the thing the next day at 3 p.m. and you're like, oh, it didn't do as well as you thought. So I don't know. I feel like they're going to have to, like you said, Dave's right. The follow-up is important. They're leading into their WrestleMania season, which is they do Forbidden Door and then they do All In and All Out, All In London, All Out Chicago. And that's like their big, summertime thing that they build towards. Last year, they had a lot of success because they had a hot story with Adam Cole and MJF. And that caught fire. And this kind of odd couple tag team with a babyface and a heel, and then they eventually become, friends.
It was great.
And that's one of those things that I don't want to say accidentally caught fire, but I don't think they thought. Did you think when they announced All In London that the main event would be MJF against Adam Cole for the AEW title? That's insane. And the crowd was there.
Yeah, no, that I wasn't expecting, but it was just great. I mean, everything about it.
So they need that. Oh yeah. So good news is,
and Adam Cole is back.
Adam Cole stood up from the wheelchair. He's done. So hopefully MJF is back soon. We can continue this storyline if they choose to. I don't know. I think they should really think about trimming a couple guys from this whole thing, because the interesting part is MJF against Cole, and I could take or leave the rest of the Undisputed Kingdom even being involved at this point, because what's Wardlow doing? What are some of these guys doing? Like Roderick Strong is the only one really that could stay involved, and he just had that was another one. The International Championship match, O'Reilly and Strong, was, if you're a Ring of Honor fan from the old school days, you're going to love that match. That was like the sleeper hit of the night. I think Osprey Danielson blew everything. Osprey Danielson blew away every match I've seen in the last fucking 10 years. So, I mean, I'm trying to compare it to everything else. It's hard. But O'Reilly and Strong was a very good match.
I also want to give props to Chris Jericho, who once again has reinvented himself somehow.
Yeah, and it's getting heat.
Won a little championship for himself too. So
it's getting so much heat, and I almost think he's gonna at one point retire that FTW championship, especially if like they're planning on doing something with Hook, because that was always kind of a placeholder for him. And now if they're really gonna push him towards like the TNT championship or something,
what are they calling Jericho now?
The Learning Tree.
The Learning Tree, right? And his promo against Hook the other on Dynamite, like the one before the pay-per-view, was just like he was rambling off all the people that he's helped and all that stuff to try and get the point across. It was great.
Yeah, and we're getting more promo time. Yeah, Osprey Omega was way up there as well in terms of one of the best matches of all time. Those guys, I mean, Omega never really misses. Osprey these last 5 years has just been on a tear. He put on mass. He used to be skinny like Zack Sabre. Zack Sabre never filled out. Billy Goat got on.
Filled out a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
what he used to look like.
So different, but yeah, man, the whole vibe of that show was pretty damn great. And the World Championship match, nothing to sneeze at either. Chris Jericho with Hook is such a good idea. Like for now, if they're really gonna focus on Hook as a main player for either the International or the TNT Championship, having him feud with Jericho and go
Such
over.
a great decision.
Especially this way now, because Jericho is using the legitimate feeling from some people that he's washed up or he should retire. Like he was getting please retire chants during the match, but he turned it turned from something that he didn't want to hear because he was like a babyface or trying to be, to leaning into it. And now him getting those kind of chants is a good thing. And I think he understands, he's been on TV with AEW pretty much the entire time. He's one of the only guys that hasn't taken off a significant amount of time for injury or anything like that. So he could just be a tad bit overexposed, and this could be a way to recorrect that. Because if at the end of this, he gets choked out, like if Hook chokes him out and you just don't see Chris Jericho for like 3 months, then he comes back and it's a big deal.
For sure.
And I hope so. Hook is exploring his options, considering being he's going to be a free agent soon. He could very well sign with WWE and go into the Performance Center / NXT. which wouldn't
scares me.
which wouldn't
Scares
necessarily
me
be a
terribly.
bad. You know, a lot of people talk about how good of a spot that is for him. I think, man, I just want to see the kid if he's going to improve, and they really think he's somebody they're going to put their money into.
I feel like
you got to push him up the card.
He'll be great in NXT. He'll get swallowed up on the main roster.
Yeah, and I mean that's a lot of guys. And look at Brian Pillman, Lexus King. I mean, he's not doing a bad. He's killing it in NXT. But can you imagine if they bring that act to the main roster? He's going to get that inky beard slapped off his face by everybody. Well, oh, so David filling us in. You see, it's the Expos icon, David, that's throwing this all off. Anaheim's Ducks, Angels, not Expos because they're LA Rams and Chargers. Sometimes an LA Kings hockey fan. Well, I mean, you had the greatest of all time playing for you, Wayne Gretzky. You better be a Kings fan. They were the franchise for a while. It's amazing. I'm learning more. One day, wrestling is going to be in California, and we're going to go, and we're going to meet David. We're going to figure this all out.
Anything else about Dynasty that we didn't cover that we want to touch on?
Ruby's pregnant.
Well, yes, that happened. They announced it on Friday. Ruby
So
Soho.
let me ask, first of all,
yeah,
is it a work or is she really pregnant?
It's real. So it turns out
she is really pregnant.
They based the storyline of her and Angelo Parker on their real life backstage relationship that nobody knew about.
Yeah, I didn't know.
They kept it on the down low so well. Nobody knew they were actually dating in real life before the storyline started. And then they integrated it. And then when there was a point where, if you noticed, like, Ruby got jumped and then couldn't wrestle matches anymore. That was around the time I think she actually like was suspecting she was pregnant. And then they made the announcement this past Friday. It is Angelo Parker's kid. Like, this is it's a real
and as
thing.
Dolph Ziggler would say, this is me. It should have been me.
Dude. And I mean, yeah, good on you. Good on you, Angelo Parker. I mean, I liked that this storyline kind of took place mostly on Collision. You could tune in every Saturday and you get another piece of the puzzle. Saraya brought in her brother. Like typical, I don't want to say typical like sitcom-y stuff, like ABC drama stuff, but it kind of was where like your friend doesn't want you dating that guy. She's like, date my brother instead. Or she gets another friend to like seduce the guy she doesn't want her friend dating. Like they did all of those tropes. But then at the end of it, Angelo Parker figured out, he was like, we're going to push all that aside. It's just going to be me and Ruby talking. You got a little piece of that every week. And now they have, I don't know what the satisfying conclusion would have been if she didn't get pregnant, but this is about as satisfying of a conclusion as I can get for a storyline like that. They're together. Everybody's happy. She's pregnant. Mazel tov. And then we see what happens after she has the baby.
And then speaking of Zach Knight, there was like a video of like him coming home and his kids coming up to. That was like, if you want to see a sweet video, that's it.
And I know the Knight family has kind of a reputation as being like weirdo, carny, gypsy-esque people in the British wrestling scene. But like, damn, dude, that kid's been grinding forever. I saw him wrestle at a WrestleCon when I was in when WrestleMania was in New Orleans, and so that must have been 6 years ago. And he's been trying to make it for a long ass time. And
he's gotten turned down by WWE quite a number of times, with his sister being a top talent in the company.
I mean, I thought when that movie came out, that would have been the perfect time to bring him.
I know, to pull the trigger on him and bring him up.
It would have been a no holds barred type situation.
Yeah, it would have brought real life into it for sure. Right. But yeah, man, it's weird, dude, because we knew like you're not gonna, Steve, you probably already know this. Maybe you don't. The E passed on Jimmy Preston like 2 or 3 times.
I knew that. Like I did know that. And that I will never understand, because he is so good at what he does.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, he's got the look. He's great on the mic. He's a dick, but in a great way. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm a big fan of Jimmy Preston. Is he even wrestling anymore? Because
I don't.
I haven't been seeing much of him lately.
No, I don't think he wrestles any. Like that thing, and that was like, it happened. They were like, they did a tryout. They're like, "Oh, you're a good kid. wait 6 months. We'll have a spot for you. Try out again. They did that to him like 3 times. They kept him hanging on for like probably a year and a half. And I think it just like, it wears at you mentally,
Yeah.
I think he was just like, man, if I'm going to keep grinding and just keep getting that rejection, might not be worth it. And then the other guy, and I know I've told this story a couple times, Eddie Kingston. I was backstage years. I mean, this was 2010, probably 2009. And I know exactly when it was because Kimbo Slice was fighting in the UFC on a show. So I could pull up the exact date. And I remember he was overhand right. Eddie Kingston was yelling at the TV. But anyway, like he got rejected a couple times. I was backstage with him at Power and Glory Wrestling, PGW. And he got rejected and he was just like shell shocked. Like it was like PTSD. It was like he came back, he fought in a war and came back and didn't get any medals or no recognition. He was just like, it sucked.
Yeah, I could only imagine. It's like you're so close and then you get the tryout and it's like, well, what did I not do that you're looking for? I can bump, I can talk, I got the look. Like what's like Preston's one of those guys. He had a whole gimmick and character going in.
It was ready to go.
And it was so good.
It was
see ya, dink.
Ready. Right. He had catchphrase. He had multiple
bacon, egg, and cheese, hold the cheese. Like
hold the cheese. Yo, he had so many catchphrases. He did. Ready to go. It's just and he's one of 1,000 guys that went through those WWE tryouts and was probably told the same thing. And you just some of them floated to the top and some of them didn't. And I hate that what if, especially for Jimmy, because I know like that was right around the time when Dijak got signed and Warbeard got signed, and it's like you're seeing your friends go up to the big dance, and it's like, why not me? And why not? I mean, legitimately, why not him? If you guys don't know about Jimmy Preston, go look up Jimmy Preston.
The only thing I can think of is height.
Maybe
that's the only thing I can think of. Yeah, because he's missing nothing else. And by saying height, he's not
short.
I mean, I think he's taller than me. I'm 5'9".
Yeah, yeah. Right. It's just that he's not 6'3".
Right.
Oh, Veer Mahan. Yeah, they had several releases. Veer Mahan, Von Wagner, Zia Lee, Zion King.
Hold on. You jumped the gun. I had a whole thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's on the screen now since we're jumping in. But yes, spring cleaning has arrived, folks. It's, I feel the worst for Cameron Grimes, to be honest with you.
That was just
the video
announced.
that he put out.
Yeah, that was like when Spud got fired during the pandemic, and he did that video where he was emotional about it.
You know what? They brought him back because of that video because there was such an outcry. So maybe people would do it for Grimes. I like Grimes. I don't know why they couldn't get him over. I mean, they didn't give him a fair shake when he made it to the main roster.
And that was the same thing with like the Zion Quinn kid, is like they moved him up and then they realized they had him on the SmackDown roster for a year and didn't do anything with him. The same thing with Cameron Grimes. It's like, well, that's on you. Don't fire the guy because you had nothing for him because you moved him up. You could have left him in NXT and you would have had money for him.
And I will say this, besides Cameron Grimes, out of all the releases, I'm not really surprised, nor do I really give a shit. Like Xia Li, I could give a fuck less. She never really did anything for me. Her entrance was cool, but other than that, she was annoying. Von Wagner surprised me. He's a big boy. So I don't know what happened there because I thought they were very high on him in NXT.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure what that was about.
And he's got the wrestling pedigree from his dad.
Right. But so he's gone. They released Indashir, including Jinder Mahal. Again, couldn't push it less, but they didn't really do much with them either. I mean, you had them come over and have a few squash matches, and then that was kind of it. And then Jinder got hindered by The Rock.
Oh.
And so I whatever.
Did they release the other guy, Veer's partner?
Yeah, Indashir. They're all gone.
Yeah.
Who else? I mean, there were.
Yeah, Jinder's gone.
There were
Zealy, Zion Quinn. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, none of them were really moving the needle except for maybe Cameron Grimes was one of the guys that I like. He
could have really been.
I
something.
do agree that that's
like
the most surprising one out of the bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And listen, this is just the beginning. There's going to be more coming. It's just a matter of who.
I have a feeling that they're going to get rid of Giovanni Vinci, considering what happened on SmackDown.
You know, it's funny you brought that up, because after watching what happened, I sat there and I said, oh, shit, he's going to be Jannetty. Like, I don't see him surviving on his own.
Oh, you don't think so?
I mean, I think he's talented.
He was getting a little bit of momentum with this. Like, he had this weird babyface thing in NXT where he'd like pose for still photos or something, and like that was getting over.
I mean, it remains to be seen. I don't have very high hopes. I could see Eric not being wrong. Like, maybe they're getting ready to cut him and they're just going to continue with those two. It's going to be interesting. I don't know.
You know, because my initial thought was, oh, great, they're going to, ruin break up another tag team for
they broke up more than one team last night, sort of.
What do you mean? Sort of like what? Who? The Judgment Day or
Gable? And them. I mean,
Alpha Academy. Yeah, they're
right.
Done. They're done.
They're still with them technically, but they're gone because he's going to take. They're going to take the Creed brothers.
It's definitely going to, especially after that promo. Like there's only 2 guys on the roster that fit that bill.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, so there will be more coming, which is leading us into the draft.
Yeah.
Now it's just a matter of if Triple H's era will hold true to the draft, or we're gonna have the same shit we've been having forever.
Yeah, I really want to give it the benefit of the doubt, but
I do every fucking year, and I get disappointed. Last year, I got disappointed in a week.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was a week, dude. I remember because we should just replay last year's pre-draft show where we all
we really should.
We're all just like, yeah, man, maybe this year there's a new guy in charge, this whole thing. We're all getting excited. Then week
this
1.
Might be a good way to dissipate Judgment Day a little bit. Like put Dom on the other show and he joins
now
or something.
Listen to this. So obviously, there's tension within the Judgment Day. We saw that building more last night. We also, Dave Abbey.
I saw that. That's so funny.
He's shocked. Well, listen, there's more coming. So there's.
He's shocked Cross isn't released. Are you? He's in a faction right now. He's a little safe.
And Dave is a massive Cross fan, but he's not wrong. They haven't done shit with him. Even this group, they can't fucking pay for a win. So it's, they're supposed to be out there being dominant. They can't win a fucking match. So you had a little encounter between Dirty Dom and Liv.
Oh man, that did so much in
maybe
that single second that happened. That did so much.
Maybe Liv, since she didn't get the belt, says, I don't need the belt. I'm going to take your man. This is going to have Rhea come back we already know she's going to come back as a massive babyface anyway. Now, Judgment Day is already falling apart. What if she turns around, comes back and says, I don't need Judgment Day, and starts her own group? She's the true leader. But now here's the other thing. And I don't know if this is even remotely possible. And I heard this conversation taking place on Busted Open. And I really liked where this was headed if they could figure out some fucking way how to do it. But when contracts are up in AEW for Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews, have them come over, have Zelina leave LWO, join this new faction with Rhea. Everyone knows Rhea is banging Buddy Matthews, and everyone knows that Zelina's with Malachi or Alistair, however.
Right.
So that could be, and then you have them against whatever's left of Judgment Day, whether it's Damian Priest group but I see that kind of falling apart too. But there's a lot of very cool, interesting things they could do.
Can I float something weird by you?
Talk to me, Goose.
Rhea comes back. gets in Liv's face at SummerSlam, and in a second you'll understand why this is appropriate for SummerSlam. It's not for the title. It's not for anything else. It is Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley
for Dirty Dom Mysterio
in a ladder match for custody of Dominic.
Oh my God! It would be his second custody match.
It would be the second.
Or you put him in a cage over the ring.
He gets the Judy Bagwell forklift.
Oh my fucking God!
We could do it, man.
I mean, that would be great.
It ties into SummerSlam.
Or they set up a match for SummerSlam. Dom is with Rhea the whole time, but Dom turns on Rhea and helps Liv win, and then the big reveal is that he's now with Liv. You could do that too, which would be quite interesting. Because at this point, Rhea, if she's going to come back as a full-blown babyface, she can't be with Dom. Because no matter what, people are never going to get behind Dom. They love to boo him. So
how about this? It seems like Liv Morgan's being set up as Dom's new girl, potentially. She couldn't win the title by herself, but maybe she follows in Rhea Ripley's footsteps and she wins the title with the help of Dirty Dom. So she seduces him, gets Dom on her side. She has the title. And when Rhea comes back, Dom is forced to make a choice. And ultimately, in whatever title match, he chooses to side with Rhea. Rhea wins, gets her title back. And that can turn Dom babyface because he made the choice to go with her.
A lot of different ways it could go, sir.
It could, or he could even just, if you want to get more heat on him, he just lays out Rhea Ripley. Could you imagine the heat they would get if Dirty Dom just crushed her with a chair shot?
Oh my God. If this was like 96, 98,
it would have already happened.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting, but this is also us speculating that Rhea is going to be cleared by SummerSlam too. We don't know. There has been no information outside of months how long she's going to be out, unfortunately. So hopefully she'll make it back for the biggest party of the summer, but there is no guarantee, unfortunately. And we're going to feel her absence for sure.
And I was surprised last night that she didn't emerge the champion.
I'm shocked.
I'm not. I am shocked that they went with Becky Lynch, quite honestly. Good finish, by the way.
Who else was in that match?
Like all the women.
Yeah, it was a battle royal.
It was a battle royal, so they were all in it. But I would have thought maybe Nia Jax, like switch it up a little.
Right.
Becky was just champion, multiple times. Liv, I could see not getting the belt because that would just be too perfect, right?
And a program with Rhea,
you know what I mean? Like
just as good, not necessarily needing a title attached.
Right? Yeah, they, that could be.
Although Rhea's going to come back wanting her rematch,
right?
Yeah, but it could also be setting up Liv and Becky for a little while, and then when Rhea's ready to come back, have Liv take the title off Becky, and then you can hotshot. You heat up a feud with Rhea and Liv for the title whenever she comes back.
Either that or you make a triple threat.
Oh yeah, triple threats.
You can do that too. So there's a lot of different ways it can go, but it's all going to come down to Rhea's timeline.
Right. It's all the time. Yeah.
That's really what it's going to come down to. The new bloodline. I'm loving everything about it, guys. Everything about this new bloodline. I love
the viciousness of Tama Tonga.
Tama Tonga's facials
He's crazy.
Just, yes. I mean, it's absolutely great. I love Solo coming out with the suit. If there was any question, if there was any question of whether or not he considered himself the tribal chief, it is now. I mean, him coming out with the suit and doing everything, and more importantly, Becky Lynch, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Dave, I'm with you. I think that was a bad call.
That's everybody's response so far. And there are a couple people online. They're like, no, I'll let it play out, this and that. Even Brian Gewirtz is like, hey guys, let the story play out. But it's
and by the way, if anyone's taking notes, Shinsuke lost again. Throwing that out there.
Hashtag free Shinsuke. Let my boy go.
I mean, seriously, at this point, what the fuck? He's another one that can't buy a win. So,
the
What were we saying?
Tama Tonga bloodline.
Tama Tonga, dude. Everything about him I love. Jacob's coming soon. This whole new bloodline is going to be great. We're going to have a bloodline civil war at Survivor Series. I already feel it. War games. I mean, this is what is happening right now.
Yeah.
Is going to be able to let the bloodline go another 2 years easy on something that's already been going for 3? Because it's real life family members that keep coming. It's not an NWO situation like, every week you're just seeing half the old school WWE roster becoming NWO. This is true fucking bloodline. Like, this is true family, which makes it interesting. And now we have to see if the Usos are going to get back together and, they're going to be on Roman's team. Like, Roman's going to have to get them back. Like, there's just so much. I'm excited.
And not only that, but premium talent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like any of them are jabronis. The other thing is, I think Roman, if the Rock's plan is to still wrestle Roman at WrestleMania, which I think should ultimately be the goal at one of these next 2 WrestleManias. I think it should go Rock Roman at the next WrestleMania, and then Roman solo at the WrestleMania after that, in terms of like big matches.
Dave Abbey over at YouTube. Steve was shitting himself until Zoe was eliminated. I got to tell you.
How deep did she get?
I got to tell you. There was a point where I was like, I'm not doing the podcast tomorrow.
Oh, you thought she was going to win?
There was a moment in time I was like, okay, like this is my worst fucking nightmare coming true.
No.
Like part of my brain was kind of like, she hasn't really been used. She wasn't, been at WrestleMania. She's been in catering, which is where I always say she belongs. And it's just great. And this is going to be the big fuck you, right? Like she's going to win this battle royal. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to come on the show. And then she didn't win. Thank God. But yes, there was a moment that I actually thought, oh my God, there's a chance this fucking bitch is going to win. I was not happy. Yes. But yeah, I love the blood. I can't wait for Roman to come back. The babyface turn that he's going to have is going to be incredible. And it's probably going to turn Paul Heyman too. It's going to be great.
And Heyman in all this right now is he's amazing with his facials.
He has never been this afraid with Roman as he is with Solo. And it comes out in such a great Paul Heyman
Even when Roman was around a lot, Heyman's always had this fear of Solo.
Well, yeah, because he's when Paul
Solo's
looks
unpredictable.
Right. When Solo looked at, or when Heyman looked at Roman Reigns, he would have this look of like, this guy's a tribal chief, but I'm still like like he might be skeptical of what he's doing. But when he looks at Solo, he's like, I have no clue what this guy's going to do at all. He is just a wild card. He's unpredictable. Bloodline Wolfpack versus Bloodline Hollywood. Oh no. And then they do the finger poke and then Roman wins the title.
Oh my God. Could you imagine if they did the finger doom of death? Finger poke of death?
They would not do it, but it's a funny thought experiment.
Oh, I got to shift gears for a second.
Yeah.
And I have to know if anyone else has been hearing this rumor.
What's that?
And if we are all hearing this rumor, if we really think this is actually going to happen. But there are strong rumors going around the internet for days now that in 2025, Vince McMahon will be starting a new wrestling promotion.
Right. Yeah, I have heard those.
Yeah, that's been floated around.
For the love of everything that's holy in this world, please tell me this is not accurate information.
Well, nothing is confirmed, but what we do know,
never say never, pal.
Right. The reason it came out is that Vince McMahon has been selling a lot of his TKO stock. It seems like he's divesting himself of the company. There are insiders that saying he's done. That's it. He's just going to eventually they're going to sever ties completely, which would probably include a full buyout of his stocks. There was a provision because it's a publicly traded company. His contract is public record. There is a 1 year. Now here's the interesting thing. There is a 1 year non-compete in this contract that says if he is removed from power or leaves TKO/WWE, then he can't open another wrestling company until 2025, whenever, a year from whenever he resigns. Except today, the FCC just made a ruling about non-compete clauses that could have an effect on this, and likely is going to have an effect on WWE and AEW contracts going forward, because it seems like the FCC, and I'm not a lawyer, so if anybody in here is more well-versed, it seems like the FCC has deemed non-compete clauses for independent contractors cannot be legally enforced.
Can you imagine if we just start seeing commercials for the return of Vince McMahon and this blockbuster pay-per-view that he's going to come up with, and the amount of money he's going to shell out just to show that he still got it, kind of thing?
Mark my words, the main event, if it happens, is Brock Lesnar against Goldberg. It just is. That's what he's going to.
It can't.
Yeah, he would get Brock, and he would pay Goldberg. He would get both of them.
I don't know if Goldberg, after everything that came out about Vince, I don't think Goldberg would ever work for Vince McMahon.
I guess it depends.
Goldberg is that kind of guy.
We do have to remember, he's coming off.
He's got
pretty
morals.
bad. He's got bad press right now, Vince McMahon.
Right,
So,
there's a lot of talent that may not want to associate themselves.
What if he just hired all the guys that got fired, like Marty Scurll, and everybody else got Me Too'd, and he just made Me Too Championship Wrestling for everybody?
Yeah, and you also have to think about who is going to be implicated as well.
As a safety net, TKO has appointed Brian Gewirtz and Dwayne Johnson to the creative team of the WWE. That doesn't necessarily mean they're there day to day, but if Sean or Hunter turn out to be implicated, or anybody else on the creative team turns out to be implicated in this thing, they can easily remove those people and then just say, hey, we have Brian Gewirtz. Remember Brian? He wrote all the Rock's promos. Remember Rudy Poo Candy Ass? Brian wrote that. Remember Poontang Pie? That was Brian. And they'll be like, oh, that guy. Okay.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. I have a feeling that whole thing is just going to settle out of court and disappear.
Vince McMahon's attorneys filed a motion today to try and force arbitration because it is part of a non-disclosure agreement. His lawyers are contesting that as part of the non-disclosure agreement, any severing of the NDA would be through private arbitration, not public court arbitration. However, the one holdup on that is if an NDA is signed that and in the breaking of the NDA you violate a law, then the NDA is void. Now, right now, Vince McMahon hasn't been charged of any crimes.
I am going on record to say this. I am going to be saving up vacation time.
Yeah.
Because if this trial is aired, I'm taking off for the entire trial. So
it's going to be like Johnny Depp all over again.
It's going to be amazing.
Bro, that would be the next Johnny Depp Amber Heard style trial. Because I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
You imagine, because Vince McMahon is not going to not testify. You know what I mean? He's going to absolutely testify. He's not going to listen to his lawyers who say, hey, don't go up on the stand. He's going to go up on the stand and he's going to say some crazy shit. And we have to see it.
Oh, it's going to be great.
On the other hand, it kind of almost makes me want to fantasy create his roster.
Well, you got to know what his roster is going to be first. It's going to be hard because I don't know many people that are going to want to work for the man, to be honest with you.
Right. Yeah, you don't know. Oh, one thing we didn't mention, backing way the fuck up, was Tony Storm had a great match against Thunder Rosa. And Tony Storm is now doing a Betty Davis impression with heavy makeup and all that stuff from
Did you hear what
the press conference was beautiful.
She looked at Tony Khan and goes, "Don't you worry, Tony. Anytime I win, I will never invite you into the ring to celebrate with me."
Just so beautiful. And Tony doesn't know what to say. He just goes, "Good." Like he's like, "All right." He just goes. She's
amazing.
She comes out and reads these statements, these written pre-written statements at the press conference, and then
she is
stormed
the
off.
best one on the roster.
She's got a full
best one on the roster when it comes to gimmick. She has hit it out of the park.
She was talking about like Deanna's bosoms or something.
Look at them titties. Look at them bounce. Like she's
she is in the way she
look out for the shoe.
And she says it when she's not at a press conference. She's on the YouTube press conference. She swears like a sailor. But on TV, she finds a way to say these things on TV that are kind of like, she uses like old-timey phrases and stuff. So she's saying dirty stuff, but she's not saying it in a dirty way. And it just works. The black and white thing. Luther?
I promise you, no matter how many matches I win, no matter how many stories I finish, I will never call you into the ring to celebrate with me. Being timeless means I'm not on your watch. My success is my own, and we're damn lucky to be a part of it. I promise you.
You're damn lucky to be a part of it.
She's the fucking best.
She's amazing.
Luther as the butler.
He's great too.
Out of the park. And then Mariah May, they've got this thing now where Mina Shirakawa came in from Stardom, and they're doing this thing now where Mariah used to be in a faction with Mina, and they're friends. So they're going to be wrestling the tag matches together and stuff. But she's like Toni Storm's biggest fan and still wears the Toni Storm cosplay and comes out to her music. So now you're going to be playing, this thing of like, where does Mariah May's loyalties lie? Is it Toni Storm? Is it Mina? If Mina wrestles Toni, what happens? Mariah is the number 4 ranked woman for the women's world title rankings. And when Toni Storm was asked about Mariah May potentially moving up to number 1 contender during the press conference, she refused to answer the question and stormed off angrily. So there we are.
This character that Toni Storm is doing really opened doors for Mariah May to be spotlighted.
Yeah, and that's the other, she could have been left in the lurch in this thing and
went
kind of
from
been
nobody to somebody. It's
and she has the other thing is she's good enough to back it up. So once they actually put her in the ring, you're like, oh, this girl can wrestle her ass off. So it's not like she is just a stunt double, whatever thing. She's her own like fully fledged wrestler who's going to break, very soon is going to break out.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see where that goes.
Oh, one more thing. I did want to talk about the SmackDown tag title. Look, I love it. It's old school and they're beautiful.
The Raw ones I don't like as much, but they're way better than the fucking pennies with the gladiator helmets on them.
Yes.
But agreed. The SmackDown tag team titles, if they took those belts, and I know they have this obsession with making all of the filigrees and all of the accents on the belts like black now for some reason, like with the IC title. If they just put it on a blue strap and put blue accents on the front of the belt instead of black accents, it would just be pretty much the old SmackDown titles just refreshed.
I also like the fact that they decreased the logo size.
They did, but they still. So if you look at, it's
still prominent, but it's
So it used to be
as busy.
Right. There was an oval or a circle at the top of the old belts that had the WWE logo in them, and then just below it was like a globe or whatever. And so what they did now was they put in that spot they put a crown, and then below it, in front of the globe, they put the WWE logo. So it's still aesthetically, it is incredibly similar to the old SmackDown belts that everybody loved. Those old SmackDown and Raw belts from like 2006 were the ones. Those, and then the old, even, going back to the ones that were kept around from the 80s into the Attitude Era, that shape was kept with those SmackDown and Raw 06 belts. But like, there's something about that shape of the tag team title just because it's been around.
More aesthetically pleasing shape than the round, especially when they look like fucking nickels or pennies or something.
Right. They give them funny colors. If they were gold, they might have looked okay. But the fact that they were bronze at one point, they literally looked like pennies. But so it's glad to see those titles refreshed, man, for sure. It was a long time coming, and the Raw ones aren't as bad. Like comparatively speaking, they were a huge step up from the pennies. They're just not as good as the SmackDown belts.
The SmackDown ones have just a feel of classic to them, and
right, a classic,
classic
feel, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, we are at top of the hour.
Wait, yet again.
Yeah, so much to talk about. Especially
much.
with having AEW come in with a good pay-per-view.
What a great
also
I'm glad
helps.
it was AEW heavy, you know.
I'm sorry, my headphone jack came out. What was that?
I'm glad this show was AEW heavy because we haven't.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't. I mean, again, we were in WrestleMania mode, so they're really, aside from Revolution, which was several months ago at this point, or at least a month ago. Yeah, there wasn't much to talk about. I mean, there was, but because I kept up with the programming the whole way through, but I just know that with the way the Royal Rumble to WrestleMania build was going, we weren't going to get much AEW discussion in. Now we should be able to, and this is their big season, so we're going to be talking about them more, especially now because like this has opened up. It's so much fresher with Swerve as the world champion. It opens it up for new challenges and new feuds, and like where does he go? You know, where does Swerve go as a champion, man? TNA was great too. Oh yeah, TNA had a they still call them pay-per-views, I think. Was it Rebellion? I don't remember which one it was, but yeah, I heard. I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard very good things about that pay-per-view as well. So you know, everybody's in a good spot right now, wrestling wise.
Well, I know that we got the return of Broken Matt Hardy for that night, which was a nice surprise.
Sami Callihan made his return.
Yeah, Sami Callihan.
I mean, Dolph Ziggler was wrestling in the main event of the. I mean,
he wrestled Moose.
Yeah.
There's even rumors about Tessa.
Yes, they're saying Tessa Blanchard might come back to TNA.
Again, rumors.
They have such an amazing talent there. So, but we'll get into TNA more next week.
Yeah, we can talk. We can, you know, we got a lot of time. We always got next week. Little bit of business on the way out, Steve. You know, maybe we should talk about this in the group chat. But Kat and I were talking about doing because we had made a discussion about wrestling. This was a tongue tie. Wrestling Mount Rushmores, singles, tag teams, Attitude Era, whatever it was. Because it's hard to just say Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, and The Rock are the four best wrestlers of all time.
You have to, at this point, and we've had this conversation, I think, off air. You have to categorize it by eras and not as a whole.
We were thinking maybe, you know, we could try out once a month, not on the Tuesday show, but having another night or after, you know, whether it's Sunday afternoon or whether it's another night during the week of just a Mount Rushmore show. And we spend 1 hour, everybody, you know, beforehand, we pick a topic. Everybody picks their four. Everybody, you know, one person says what their four is. We do a discussion, you know, and then we just do like a roundtable discussion on everybody's four.
I absolutely love that idea. So,
and so does Dave.
Yeah. We'll talk more about that off the air, and then we'll come up with a plan. But yeah, I'm on board.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to wrap up real quick. Tomorrow is Tara's niece Sophia's birthday. Happy early birthday. And then next Tuesday, so we'll also acknowledge this next Tuesday. Her nephew Jackson is turning 2. So happy birthday to Sophia and Jackson from everybody here at the War Report. Your Aunt Tara is a very loyal fan, and we enjoy her company very much and her comments very much. So thank you, Tara. And again, thank you, Sophia and Jackson. Thank you, Dave, for being active in the comments. Thank you, David Rosca, a big Anaheim Ducks fan. I just learned today. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. Thank you to the people that have been coming in and out tonight. I've watched the number, not fluctuate. I've only seen, a couple people go out and then back in real quick. So thanks for sticking with us tonight all the way through. We really do appreciate it. Whatever platform you're on, tune in next week, 9 p.m. Eastern time, whether that's our Facebook page, whether that's our LinkedIn or our Steve's LinkedIn, our YouTube page, which is at Tag Me a Date, our Twitter, at Tag Me a Date, our Twitch, twitch.tv/War Report. That's where we're live. Yep, that's all of them. Excellent. And then if you want to follow our socials are on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, gosh, all of them. Any social media platform you're looking for us on, just go for @TagMeADate. Twitch is the only one that's different. It's twitch.com/WarReport, WARREPORT. And you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the bell to get notifications when we go live. Like the Facebook page if you're on the Facebook page. Join the group if you're in the group. If you like the audio version of rather than the video version, because we have archives on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook, you can just go back and take a look at our past live broadcast. But if you prefer the audio version, we do have our subscriptions on podcast apps. So Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, whatever app you're using, all you got to do is search for Tag Me a Date or The War Report. There are 2 wrestling podcasts called The War Report. So for your convenience, we added an icon and a description that mentions Tag Me a Date and mentions our names. So you know it's us. Just hit subscribe and the audio version goes right into your device. Within the hour of us going off the air, Ryan's nice enough to grab it. And you can take it with you in the car, to the gym, whatever you're doing doing the dishes. Listen to the podcast.
Even on your couch, like the song says.
Exactly. And thanks to Davids for commenting tonight. Tara was having trouble getting in. I did give her a link, but I don't know if she got to it or not. I'm sure she can watch the replay. Comment in anyway, Tara. We'll see your comments post live show anyway. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll be back next week, 9 p.m. Eastern time, for another edition of the War Report After Dark. See ya.
Thank you.